And what's the method we used in the controller to read the key? Get selected key. Okay. Now here we have to read the text. So text plays a vital role because in the dynamic select, if you observe that the data is being populated in the text property. So we have to read the text. Okay. To read the value of any control in the API, there is a value called as parameter value. Param value is given. Right now, to read the value stored inside for any control, param value is provided with the event in the API reference. Okay. So let us go to the API reference. Let us go to the select control and let us see what is this param value, how to read the value stored inside the control. So open the API reference in the demo kit. And type this select sap.m.select sap.m.select. Under events, go to the event change, and in the change event, if you little bit scroll down, you can see a param at the bottom of this table here. You can see selected item. Okay, event is change event. Param value is selected item. It returns a type sap.ui.core.item. This is the data type it is returning, not the text. Next, radio button. Radio button. Event for the radio button is select. You can identify the param value here. Selected. 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 Panel. radio button, that param value return type, let us see. Oh, sorry. Boolean. So the value or the state of the radio button. Okay, please remember this. It will be useful another after 10 or 15 more minutes. We'll come back to this radio button. Panel. Expand. Expand. It has two param values. One is expand, one is triggered by interaction. Both are of Boolean type. Now to read the value stored inside this controls, first you have to provide an event function name for this. For example, using the param value. So when you are using this, for example, in the view for any control, the event name event1 will use something like ABC, and in the controller you'll define the ABC with a function. So this is what till now we are doing. To read the value, so we have to take a local variable here. Any variable, we can just use X or Y or Z. Okay. So traditional how we are using is O event. It's a normal variable, O small E capital, and that is also used by SAP. So please use that variable name. O event dot get parameter of, in the double quotes you have to use the param value. O event dot get parameter. O event, so that is a normal variable, but we reach till this O event after the event gets triggered. Once the event is fired from the control, it reaches the controller. Okay, and this variable will store all the details of this control. If it is a select control, it stores the value of this in the selected item. If it is a radio button, it stores the value whether it is selected true or false, because it returns Boolean value. It stores the value in the selected. All these things we'll try to see. I'll place the debugger and we'll see in the browser's console. Like formula, we'll use A plus B also kind of thing. You're not in the first day one, no? You might get confused. We use that something like formula CNTRL control, event EVNT1. Just some assumptions. A plus B, how you use it. It's like a formula. If you remember this formula, you can apply to n number of things. Syntax? Yeah, syntax kind of thing. So please be little bit careful about this parameter. There is no S here, only parameter. Okay. Shall we go back to the code? Are we ready? Yes? Okay. So we'll go back to the code. So our requirement is, first let us read the product ID. Any product ID I select here, that let us read it. Okay, the value stored in that control, first we'll try to read it. Then second requirement is, based on that only, I want the table to be populated with that data. Okay, fine. The first requirement. So first, let us go to the dynamic select. So if you remember yesterday, we gave the event, change event as dynacell. Okay, copy that and go to the controller. So always try to read the code. On the lines, right click, collapse all. When you're reading the code, try to read like this. At a time, all this code, you might get panicked. So right click on any these lines, collapse all, try to open one by one, and you can find all the functions. Okay, whatever function is required, you open that one. Whatever is not there, you want to create, you create it. So it will be very easy for you all. Dynacell. I told you we'll take a simple variable name, O event. Any variable name, O event. Same thing again, I'll try to place the debugger here. Okay, so that when I click that or select anything or select any of the value, this function will be triggered. Okay, I want all of you to do the same thing what I'm doing now. In the browser output, on the browser output, right click anywhere, inspect. Inspect. In the console, anything you want to clear, you clear by pressing this button. Sources. Even this file is not open directly. When you execute or select any value here, automatically that file gets opened because you have placed the debugger keyword. So I'm clicking on HT1066. I want to see that HT1066. Okay, I'm going a little bit slow so that you can also follow me. Please do it. Okay. O event. So copy that O event to the console. Copy the O event to the console. You can see here, this is the param value. Just now we have noted it, selected item. If it is a radio button, it would have returned selected. See here. I can reach till here by navigating oevent.mparameters.mproperties.text. oevent.mparameters.mproperties. Properties. dot selected item dot m properties dot text. I want this value. I want this value. So some of the developers from some other companies I saw, they will directly, because I'm seeing the value here, you navigate till there, you can copy that code here to your web IDE. But what happens, you see m parameters, we are taking that variables directly. These are called as private members. Private members. You should not use the private members directly. For this purpose only, the methods like get property, let me write co event dot, sorry, get parameter of selected item. I told you that selected item return type, data type, there is not boolean, it's something else. Okay, I'm getting some object references inside, so I want the text dot get text. This is the correct procedure of checking the values or getting the values. Okay, so it is returning the product ID. So if you have message toast dot show, you can check whether whatever you have selected, it is given. Come out of the debugger. When you're in the debugger only, that all the variables which are read into the browser's memory only can be checked in the console. Once you're out of that, nothing of the events or whatever you are checking will work. HT 1000, yeah, it is giving that. HT 1000, HT 1064. So it is reading the value inside the control. Clear? Any doubts still here? Our first requirement is completed. Second requirement, based on the product ID, whatever I'm selecting, the table must show only that value, that row. Any idea how can I do that?
I will pass that parameter value into that OData query.
Come again, sir.
We'll pass that parameter value with that OData query.
Very good. Yeah. With the filter, you can pass that. So I'll give you 5 minutes time. Please do it. The next participants, any doubts? Are you able to write the code? Requirement is I want to read the row of any row I select. I want to read that row only, that row's data. Everybody done with the dynamic select? Please let me know. If you want me to stop, I'll stop for a few more minutes. Requirement. Read the table selected table row data. Read the selected table rows data. Only that row which is selected, I want that to be read and show the values in a message box. Message box. Now let us have a radio button at the beginning of the table. Okay. Now to this table, let us go to the view. So in the columns, this is all metadata. Okay. Let us add a column, a new column. select. So number of metadata should be equal to the number of modal data here. Columns must be equal, otherwise the columns will be moved. Radio button. Let us have an ID to this radio button. ID RAD1. Event. What is the event for the radio button? Select.
Select.
Thank you, sir. Select. RAD cell. Right. Let us go to the output. Refresh. You can see I have all the radio buttons here. Okay. Now, if I select any row here, that row's data I want to be read. Okay. How can I do that? To every table, whatever the table is getting iterated, we have provided a reference to the table. Okay. We provided the reference to the table in the onInit function. For the SAP table, we have provided the reference as SAP PROD. Okay. For the Northwind products or Northwind customers, there is a separate reference. So remember this. Now, in the memory, how it is stored? It is stored something like this. This is the SAP prod. Okay, that is the reference. This is Northwind customers. Okay. Now, these colors, whatever I did it, they are called as contexts. Context. To the context, we have the properties of that particular OData services. So for the SAP products, we have product ID, name, category, price, and so on. For the Northwind customers also, we have customer ID, customer name, city, phone, all these things. Now, any row selected for the table, I need to reach till this context. Okay, I need to reach till the context. How can I do that? There is a method O event dot get source dot get binding context of, I'm just writing the color. Color means if it is SAP products, you just use SAP PROD, not yellow. Just use SAP PROD. Okay, I can reach till that context. If it is Northwind customers, NC. Okay, to wherever you point, that pointer moves to that particular context, NC, SAP prod. But required is you should be with that table, in that table. Okay, for that table it will work. Okay. Next, so this will point to the products, SAP products. To reach to this properties, okay, to reach the properties, we have to use the whole code. At the end, we have to use dot get property of that metadata. Get property of that property name. Metadata means property name. So we will try to see this now. Okay, those are done with this. Radio button, ID RAD1 for the ID, select underscore RAD cell. Copy that function, go to the controller, go to the controller, start writing that function O event underscore rad cell colon function. So now I am inside the SAP products table. So I should be using the context for SAP products only. O event dot get source dot get binding context of SAP prod. That is a reference which we have taken from the on init. The table is referenced with that reference or remodel, one and the same. Let us keep this in a variable BC, binding context BC. BC dot get property I want to show the PID, product ID. I want to show the category, just a cat. I want to show the price. I want to show the width. And inside this get property, the values must be exactly the properties of the OData. Product ID. Next. Category. Price. width. Okay. Now you can use the message box dot alert. Message box dot alert. Let me declare that on the top. sap.m dot message box. Declare that on the top. Message box. Use it here. Message box dot alert. PID cat. I'm just concatenating the strings with the static and the dynamic. Static is the hyphens, dynamic is the value coming into the string. So let us check it, the output. There's a small bug here. I'll show you what's the bug and how to fix it. Okay. Now I'm selecting this one, HT1001. We are getting the values clear. The bug is HT1001. This is what it is populating correctly. I'm closing this one. I'm opening another one. I'm clicking on this HT1002. Correct? HT1002. But when I close this, the previous value also will be there. Okay? Previous value also there. Now, why it is giving that value also? Because you have to tell the or take the value of that radio button. How to get the value of that radio button? Just previously I told you that concept. So check that whether it is active or not. Okay. O event dot get parameter of radio buttons param value selected. So when it is selected, this returns true. Listen carefully here. When the radio button is selected, this returns true. Okay. Now my idea is, if true, then only populate this. If true, then only populate the box. And write this also. Else, don't populate. Fine. This is returning the true statement. I'll directly copy it. I'll paste it here. Some of them, they write like this. Is equal to true. This is not required. Why again you are checking for true? That itself is returning the Boolean value as true. If true, message box. Otherwise, don't populate it. Let us check whether the issue is fixed. ST1001. Okay. I'm showing the issue also and I'm fixing that issue. Fine. You can take that. Just you need to populate that by cross check. So whenever there's a radio button checkbox, you try to first check this one. Then only inside that write the code to avoid some of the bugs which you might not observe at that point of time, but eventually they come up in the further developments. A few things, fix it at the earliest. Okay, so I'm trying to show this in a message box. So this is a standard dialog box. You cannot change the title, or you cannot change that, cannot add another button, or cannot drag this one, or cannot resize this one. So this is standard. Now let us have a customized dialog boxes. Okay, and also the basic for starting the concept of a fragment. Okay. Now let us try to understand what is this fragment, how we can use this fragments. And view 3. Okay. Now in the view 1, I wrote a static, sorry, a simple thing, a button control with a press event. Underscore A1. I want a select control underscore A1. Every view has a controller of its own, so that you can define that particular event's definition in the corresponding controller. Underscore A1. Clear? In the view, you are going to write the presentation logic. In the controller, you are writing the business logic. Clear now? Now, the same controls, I want to use it in view 2. Okay. Again, I want to use that in the view 3. If you want to use the same controls again and again, it will be better if you have a global view, so that you can store all this in that presentation logic in the global view. And I will remove all this from the other views, and I'll place them in the global view. And any view I want to call this controllers, any view I want to call the controls, then I can make use of the corresponding controller to define the functions, event functions. A1 underscore A1 underscore B1, I can define it in view 1. If view 3 is using this global view, then this A1 B1, I can define it in the corresponding controller. So the global view is sharing the view's memory in which it is being called. Okay. This global view concept is called as a fragment. Now, a view with a controller is termed as a heavyweight. View 1 is 1 kg, controller 1 kg, 2 kgs. Okay. Here fragment is only a view. It does not have a controller. So I can term this as a lightweight. Fine. Fragments are lightweight UI elements which does not have a controller of its own and shares the memory of view in which it is being called. So fragments are nothing but global views. Okay, you can treat that way. Only the presentation logic we are going to write in the fragments. Fragments are nothing but views only. And the signature and the file naming convention looks similar to views. Example, a view is there, view 1. So if you create a view with view 1, view1.view.xml will be created, an XML view, and a corresponding controller will be created, view1.controller.js. But when you create a fragment, say for example, hello world fragment is created, then it has a naming convention, hello world dot fragment dot xml. Hello world dot fragment dot xml. Just to differentiate a fragment, they use the dot fragment dot xml. If they use the dot view dot xml, again it should contain a controller. That is the reason technically they have provided a naming convention dot fragment dot xml. Okay. And any doubts still here? For example, in the view 1 text id is equal to id1 is there in the view 1. Is it correct if I use the another text control with the same id in the view 2? Sure. Something different. Day 3 basics. Day 3, I think. Okay, said no problem. No one to repeat. So two views can have the same ID for the controls. Okay, but when it is with the fragment, I gave you note also at that time. And if this view 1 is sharing the fragment, then you cannot have the same ID, because when it is sharing, it becomes a one big object. Okay, so that presentation logic, this presentation logic, IDs should not collide. Fine. View 1 and view 2 are two different objects. So in the memory, they are two different objects, so it won't scold. But if you are sharing any fragment to the view, then IDs must be different. Okay, just write that also. Note, two views can have same IDs for the controls, but a view and a fragment which is being shared cannot have same IDs. Get a duplicate ID error when you are trying to use. At that time, you can rectify. Just I'm telling you. Here, views and pages are synonymous. A page means a view. Okay. When you are visiting a banking website, login page, that is one view. Next view, you logged into the another one. Next view, you are going. Second view, that is second page. So views and pages are synonymous in our UEFI technology. When it is compared to the WebIntro technology, a page contains a n number of iViews. So technology that differs. Their page is different, iViews are different, views, iViews are different. A page can contain n number of views in that scenario in the WebIntro. Okay, so that is slightly different. Okay. Hold on. I'll come there. Just hold on. Technically, there is lots of things to say to tell you. Please hold on. Okay. Views. When the views are getting created, this is only for those who want technical details of difference between the views and the fragments. After listening this story, only you can understand the code of the fragment. Okay. It takes only 5 minutes for me to write the fragment code, but if you don't listen to this story, you cannot understand. Okay, so those who are interested in the technical details, for them I'm telling. Others rest can sleep. This is technically challenging. Fine, because I observed that one. I'm telling you. When the views are starting up, server has to first create the views. Okay, those who worked on the Eclipse tool, they can get the idea of how the views are created. I'll show you that. I have Eclipse tool. I'll show you that. Server views are confined to the servers. When the servers are starting up, views must be readily available. Okay. Every view and ID will be provided by the framework or the server. Fine. Fragment. Fragments must be created when the browser starts up. When the browser has started up, and when you are invoking as a end user, when you are invoking from any event, then the fragment has to be started. An object of the fragment must be created in the browser's memory. If it is not created, you have to create it. Clear? So let me show you the signature of the view. Then only you can understand the signature of the fragment. Just give me 2 minutes. Let me open the Eclipse tool. How can you create an object in JavaScript? How can you create an object? New keyword. 7th day. Now this is not required, just for your understanding. Okay. Just observe here. Observe this line between the script. In this line, an object of called ID view 11. Please observe. In the 19th line, where page is equal to sap.ui.view, and a view is getting created with the ID given by the framework, with the name of the view as view1, with the type of the view as XML view. Did you see anything different from what we are going? Any doubts you have in this view creation? The question is related to the one just now I asked you another question previously. Good matter. So what is the thing which is not there? New keyword is not there. Most of them get a doubt why the new keyword is not there. New keyword must be there for the view creation. For your eyes, 17th line, then 19th line. Okay, it is in order. But for the framework and for the server, 19th line will be executed much before the server starts up. Okay, views are readily available. At that time only, ID got created, ID view 11. Then in the 17th line, that ID is being used. Okay, you must get the doubt as technical guys. How can an ID be used after or before it is getting declared? Because this is being created in the server much before the 17th line only. Your eyes might deceive you at this point of time. Before 17th line only, this 19th line got created. This is the funda of the Eclipse tool and the server and the views creation. This also happens in our Web IDE, but I cannot show you all these things in the Web IDE because architecture is very complex there. Okay, fine. So let us copy this views creation. So view has a ID, a view name, a type. Now let us see the fragment creation or fragment notation. sap.ui.xml fragment. ID. Views are given the IDs by the servers. Please listen, later you can write down. IDs of the views are given by the server. Okay, but ID for the fragment. Fragments are being called by the views. In which view it is calling, that view's ID will be taken care and given to the fragment. You should not hard code that one. And the method to get that view is ID is this dot get view dot get ID. Okay. View name. Here it is the path to the fragment. Path to the fragment. Next. Type of the view is XML, but fragments are all XML only. There is no JavaScript fragment. Fragments are XML. One more parameter it takes here. What is that parameter? Now, I am the XML. Just assume that I am the view myself. I am calling the fragment. Fragment is being called by me. Okay. So I am pointing the fragment to myself. So anything we are pointing to ourselves is referenced with this keyword. Thanks. That is the this is the signature of the fragment. There is no new keyword for the fragment definition also. To explain you that story, I have used all these things. So this is not required, the one what I have highlighted. This is important. Right on. SAP.UI.XML fragment. Without any uppercasing in that XML fragment. Everything is lowercase. This dot get view dot get ID, comma, path to the fragment in the double quotes, comma, this. Okay. Clear now? Any doubts? So this is the notation. Now on the browser to the view, anywhere I'll just create a button, and when I click the button, your fragment must open. Okay, time being, we are using that as a customized dialog box. Okay, this is because there is only one view. No, here I can show you like it's a customized dialog box. When I click that, then only the object must be created. Okay, that's the condition. Fine. Let us again go back. What is the equal to sign in our JavaScript? Strict equal to. Triple equal. Strict equal to. Not equal to. Slash. Exclamatory. Okay, right. Not symbol. Not. Single exclamation. This is a not symbol. Where A is equal to new apple. Now here the variable is created. Here the object is created and A is assigned to it. If A variable is not created, create the variable and assign that apple or create that object. Okay, that I'll write it in English format here. If A not created, create it and assign that apple. How to make the A global variable? This dot A. Sure? How to make the variable global? JavaScript. Day 1, day 2.
This dot A.
Yeah, this dot. Okay. Not created. Okay. If not this dot A, this dot A is equal to okay. Same thing I wrote in the English format, then the coding format. Okay. So there are some steps we have to create a fragment. So let us follow that steps. Ready? Okay. Step number 1. Create a folder, fragments inside the web app folder. Right click on the web app, new folder. Create the folder fragments inside the web app folder. Right click on the web app, new folder. Name that as fragments. Fragments. Inside the fragments folder, create a hello world fragment. Inside the fragments, new file. Inside the fragments, create a file. Hello world dot fragment dot xml. Hello world dot fragment dot xml. The code in the XML fragment looks like the code in the view. How in the view we have at the beginning of the view this kind of definition: app, pages, page, content. Okay, so I have a template with that. You copy this code whenever you are free into your web IDE hello world fragment. Okay. Core colon fragment definition XML namespace sap.m XML namespace core sap.ui.core dialog. This is a dialog control with a resizable, draggable, content height, content width, title, and inside that you have app, pages, page, and as I told you, this is a customized dialog box. It will have a button, so that buttons definition also goes here in the buttons tag, button text type press. Okay, so I'll change the title here to hello world. Same thing here, hello world. Between the content, you need to write your presentation logic. It can be a simple text table, radio text control, label control button, or it can be a table control, list control, select control, any number of presentation logic. You can write it here, which can be shareable to all the other views. Okay, so timing only one view is there. I'm just writing a simple text control. Text is equal to hello world fragment. There is a button here on OK. Let me just rename it to on hello OK. So where I'll use that, I'll tell you. So we'll invoke this hello fragment from the first view. From here, let us have a button here. Okay, let us have a button here which says open hello world fragment. So when I click that, I want the customized dialog box to be opened. So this fragment, whatever we wrote that we want it to be opened. So what I'll do, go to the view1.view.xml, have a button control. So I'll use the button control inside the select and select. Button, you can have any ID for the button. ID. Text, open hello world fragment. Press is the event underscore hello frag. Okay. I'm copying the underscore hello frag to the controller. Here. In the view1.controller.js, because in the view there is a button here. When I click that, this fragment must be opened. Hello world fragment must be opened. I'm writing that in the view1.controller.js. When the fragment gets opened, there will be a OK button on that to close that fragment. So that OK button is here on hello OK, because view1 is calling this fragment. In this corresponding controller only we have to handle the events, because hello world.fragment.xml does not have a controller of its own. That is what the fragment definition. So I'm sharing this fragment to this view1.view.xml. So to this controller only I need to define any events inside this hello world.fragment.xml. That is why I'm writing here on hello OK. Shall we start writing the code for the invoking a controller? So let us have a variable given to this. Just refer to this Apple concept. If not this dot a is equal to fragment definition. Same thing we are going to write it here. So it starts from the variable. Choose any variable. Let us say hello. Okay, hello is a variable. Now you need to build all the code from this simple variable only. First, make it global. Why I am making the variable global, I'll tell you. Okay, this dot hello is equal to sap.ui.xml fragment. It takes 3 parameters. There is a curly brace there. This dot get view. There is no curly brace, sorry, here in the signature. This curly brace. This dot get view dot get ID, comma, path to the fragment, comma, this path to the fragment. So where is the hello world dot fragment dot xml is residing? It is residing inside the web app, inside the fragments folder. Okay, so web app dot fragments dot hello world. Physical folder creation is not allowed. Sorry, physical folder you should not give it. So that physical folder is called as namespace. To get the namespace, you can collect it from the controller file itself. On the top, inside the controller, you can see till the controller. So this is the controller folder. Okay, so you copy that path. So you might give any name there. Clear? Next. So when should this be invoked? If this is not created. So if not, then create the fragment. Dot get view dot add dependent. This dot get view dot add dependent of this dot hello. So all the creation is completed. Then open the fragment. This dot hello dot open. If the fragment is open, you have to close it. On that fragment, a button will be there. That event I wrote it here. Okay. This dot hello dot close. Because I need to access that close that variable, we are making it as a global variable. That is the only reason. Clear? So let us save everything. Let us see whether it is invoked or not. We'll place the breakpoints and also we'll see. So first time you are trying to invoke it, the control goes into the if loop. Second time when you're clicking on the button, the control will not go into the if loop. That proof also I'll show you. Just to tell you that an object is not created, it is creating that by going into the if loop. If the object is already there, it is coming out of that if loop. So first time let us see this fragment got open. Okay, all the definitions here. Resizable. Okay. Draggable. Content height, content width. So let us make it 100 pixels. 100, 100. So these are all not available with the standard dialog box, message box. Okay, content height, content width. They are self-explanatory. Title, there are two titles you can see. The top for the fragment, for the page title. Now when I click this OK button, on hello OK will come into picture. Clear? Fine. So let me close this and again I'll open this. Now I'll put the breakpoint because that object is created in the browser. Now I need to close it just for you to see the proof that it is going into if loop. Second time it won't go into if loop. So first time I did not click on the button. An object, fragment object does not exist in the browser's memory. Okay, inside the if I'm placing one breakpoint. Outside this one 249, this line number, I'm placing one breakpoint. So I'm clicking on the button now. You observe what happens. First time it must go inside the if loop. Okay, then only it is opening the fragment. Second time when I click this, it should not go into the if loop. Okay, understanding? Sure. Okay, this is the story about the fragment. Any doubts still here? So we'll try to show the referenced entity sets data in the fragment. Okay, tomorrow we'll see that. So referenced entity set means for the product set. For the product set, we have two referenced entity sets. So please copy all this hello world fragment code, everything. You refer to this web IDE. Let me safeguard this code again. Most of the scenarios, the number of fragments which we are going to use. A simple product might contain 20 to 25 fragments. Anywhere, I want a pop-up box. Anywhere. Sharing the fragments, sharing the presentation logic. Most of us use that in that scenario, sharing the presentation logic to other views, or we can try to have the fragment to show lots of things. Okay. Anywhere in the application, I want a pop-up box to see the graphs. I want to see something like data, some other data, graph format. All this data I want to see in a graphical format. I want to filter the data, but I don't want on the same view itself, but I want separate button, client to last view. So click on that. I want a pop-up box to be open. In that, I want to see some data, graphs, or filters, anything. Okay, so in the normal usage, okay, in any of your, for example, mobile arena, GSM arena you visited, so you want something to compare to mobile phones. So everything like pop-up box. Okay, so you are utilizing the same, within the same page, you are utilizing that area, full extent you are utilizing. Okay, otherwise else if that is not there, I need to go to another view. I need to see all those things. Again, come back to the home page. So all these things will be troublesome for us. IRCTC is the trains to and fro. So I just want to see in a pop-up box instead of going to next new page. Okay. So if I go to new page, lots of resources will be involved. If I want to go into a new view, controller concept will come into picture. All those things will be ready to the memory. Performance will slow down. Okay. If I have the same thing here itself, view does not fragment. Our concept of fragment does not have a controller. So only presentation logic. So it does not take much of the browser resources, and the application will be very fast. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, what we will do, product set is there. So in the product set, we have all the properties of the product set along with the 2 sales order line items and 2 supplier as the referenced entity sets. Okay. How can I see the values or the properties of the 2 supplier? Expand query. In the OData services, I told you. Expand query. When I use the expand query, then I can see the properties and the records of the 2 supplier. It contains address, it contains business partner ID, company name, web address, all these things. So tomorrow's session, we'll try to see this 2 supplier data as a fragment. Okay, fine. Any doubts in today's session? Shall I continue or wrap up?
Suman, I have a question.
Yes.
So fragments, as you told that somewhere if the presentation logic is being used more than one time, then right?
Yes.
And if we need a custom message alert, then also we'll use fragments.
Yeah. Custom message alert, you can go with the message box dot alert. Okay. I don't think that
is not
want to
resizable.
that's okay, but fine. It's up to the requirement. If you want to use a fragment for showing the messages, you can move with the standard message box control. If you want to have that, drag and like resizable, all those kind of thing, if you want, you can create a fragment also. But in your requirement scenario, I don't think that for showing the messages, fragment is used. There are a lot of different purposes where the fragments are used. Anyhow, it depends on the requirement. If you are able to create a fragment for a simple message to show it, then it's okay. Because there are some other things like message popover, message box dot alert dot confirm, which also solves your purpose. So our requirement is like completely customizing the data, whatever I want to see as a fragment. I want to see a graph. So as a fragment, as a pop-up box. So in that scenarios, we can move with the fragments. So when you regularly use these fragments, then you can come to know when to use the fragment, when not to use the fragment. Like in your scenario, I don't suggest you using a customized fragment just to show something like a message. Okay.
No. I want to show on a table.
Okay, showing the table. That's what tomorrow we'll see that scenario. So I want to show the table data, the supplier data in a table. I want to show it in a fragment. So for that purpose, we can go with the fragment. Tomorrow we'll see that one, okay? So when you come tomorrow, please go through the expand query and also go through the differences between the JSON array and a normal array. Go through the $expand query. Next, differences between normal array and JSON array. And also practice the fragment, hello world fragment, how we did today. Any doubts also, you can refer to the Web IDE